Okay, this is it's me 89 CR250, and I bought this bike about, I think it was about 12 years ago, and it was pretty much a wreck when I got it. And I did not a nut and bolt restoration, but fairly close to that on it. And the only thing that's original on this bike as it sits here right now is the swing arm, the engine, the triple clamps, the fuel tank and shrouds, and that's probably it. Everything else has been, the seat foam. That's the original seat foam and seat base, but that's had probably, I think I put 3 covers on that seat. When I restored it, my son was still riding then. I've never ever raced this bike. It's always just been for fun riding and going to tracks and stuff like that. And when I restored it, I did it with the original frame. So it's not even the original frame. And unfortunately, these things are well known for rotting out in the bottoms of the front frame rails, and mine had already had a repair done on it. And then jumping on it and everything, I've still got the original frame, it's up in the other shed, I've still got the original wheels and hubs, but they're all corroded, they corrode on the inside. It's just what happens on these old dirt bikes. It's got the second bottom end in it. Since I've had it, we're going to do that again. So basically this bike's been sitting for about 3 years. I rode it every weekend for about 6 years and did, there's the pistons out of it. So I did 3 top ends in it in about 6 years. The one that's in it now is the 4th one. That's out. I've got a 125 as well up there. We'll do another video on that on another day. But yeah, I love the friggin' thing. But so I had to get another frame. So I got this one sent over from California. That was before everything went crazy, but I couldn't find an 89 frame, so it's actually an 88 frame with an 89 engine in it. And all this all rotted out, they rust all through here because water sits down in here. There's nowhere for it to get out. All this rusted out. And even on this frame, jumping on it, it ended up cracking all through here. And so my good mate Clayton, we got a BMX bike with some good quality forks on it. I can't remember what they were made from, but it wasn't normal steel anyway. And he ended up cutting the fork, the tops of the pieces out and slicing pieces off of here and rebuilding all this here. You can't even tell that he's done it. He did such a good job. So that frame there's been repaired. So the plan is, this has been sitting now for about 3 years because we sold our house where we were living, and we bought the farm, and we've just been busy with everything going on here. And I'm going to pull it down, strip it all back, and we're going to go right through it. And there's things on it that I didn't do the first time that I want to get done this time. Like the sump plug is a dodgy sump plug in it, and it's been, I'm going to send the cases away and have them welded and get it back to the standard original sump plug. There's on the magneto side where the seal goes in, there's a little mark there where someone's jammed a screwdriver in it, and I'm going to get that welded up and then smoothed out again. There's a whole heap of things. I'll probably get rid of these wheels and put the original wheels back on it. Put the original hubs in that, because we just got spaces made up so that these wheels would fit, and they've been perfect, but they're not the original hubs or anything. But yeah, I got the pipe sent over I actually ordered that pipe from Pro Circuit in California and had that sent over brand new, and had that pipe on it. It had a Pro Circuit pipe on it when I bought it, and this was bashed flat all the way around. It was just flat. I couldn't even get it. It had holes in it. I couldn't even get it repaired. It had the original silencer on, and I've still got that. It's all been damaged and everything, but I kept it. That's up the other shed as well. But yeah, so the plan is to strip it down and do another build on it. And I'm going to split the cases, go through the gearbox, do all the bearings again. That'll be the second time they've all been done in the 10 years. But, you know, these things weren't meant to last this long when they come from Japan. So you've got to give them, so to speak, birthdays every few years, especially if you're riding them a lot. And I'll probably never ride it like I did in the past, where I was on it every weekend. But it's such a fun bike to ride. The power on these things was unreal. Like, I think they had with that power valve set up on them and everything, it was and that pipe and stuff on it it's just a nice power delivery on these things. It wasn't the light switch power that the 500s had or anything like that. It's just a nice rideable power on these. And yeah, I love this friggin' thing. It's 33 years old, thereabouts, and when I was 16, 17, I remember we had to catch a train to go to a spot where we used to go surfing in the town I grew up in, and to get across to the beach that we would all hang out at and stuff, we had to go through the Honda dealership that was in town there, and we'd walk through, they had a door at the back and they had a door at the front, and we'd walk through the dealership. And the main reason we did it, and they never ever said that we couldn't, but was just to look at the bikes that were in the showroom. And I remember seeing these bikes, and they were the 88s and the 89s when they came out all red like that. And before that, they were with the blue seat and the slightly different coloured plastic. And I fell in love with them then. And I was also a big Rick Johnson fan, massive Rick Johnson fan. For an Aussie, really hard for us to follow it back then. Only what I could read in the magazines and stuff, but yeah, I was a huge fan of his, and obviously Craig Dack and those guys. He was riding one back in the day, and he was the best Aussie. I don't really get too much into the Australian motocross. I love the riders. I think they're awesome, and I think they do it. You know, they put their bodies on the line and all the rest of it. But I'm huge. Anyone that knows me knows that massive on the American stuff, and we've actually been to the States a couple of times just for that, to go and watch the racing and go to see the tracks over there. And that we don't have anything like that in Australia. Our biggest problem in Australia is that we build our tracks on flat ground and call it a motocross track, where over there elevation's everything. And like, you know, go to Glen Helen and have a look at that, and then come back and tell me that you can justify some of the tracks that our guys are racing on. It's not their fault. And I realise that, you know, they're just making do with what the councils and stuff like that will give them. But I mean, like, we've got a track over here at Toowoomba, and then the other one at Conondale, probably two of the best motocross tracks in Australia, and we don't have nationals at them anymore for some reason. Like, it's just crazy to me. But yeah, there it is, and we're going to get into it. I'm not going to do the whole video on the build, because it'll be a bit boring, but I'll do the progress, and as we get parts, and because that's going to be the biggest thing. They're getting hard to buy parts for, and yeah, I've got a box up there. There's a couple of fenders there, and there's a box full of parts there, old stuff. And I've got see, they're not even the original forks. They're off a 91, because I think they're the same size. Because the 89 forks were rubbish, and I worked on them and worked on them and worked on them, and could never get them to feel right. So yeah, these are a different fork. They're way better, and it's got a different rear shock in it too, because the original shock's up there in that box. But that's a 94 shock in the back of it, and it works good. But we might even get the original shock back into it. It's slightly higher. It didn't bother me being a little bit lower because I'm a short guy, so it was good. But there it is. That's a little bit about it, and we're gonna tear into it and strip it all down and get it back to like new again, hopefully. I've got the magneto cover off already. But yeah, that's it. That's a sneak peek at me 91 125. And it's a little rocket, this thing, but that's the video for another day.